Breaking news here on New Orleans Saints Now by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, and the Sean Payton trade is done. The Saints and the Broncos have agreed to the trade compensation, and Sean Payton is the new Denver Broncos head coach, with the Saints getting back a first-round pick and just a little bit more. This breaking at basically the same time as the Texans hiring DeMeco Ryans. The trade is not technically official, like it hasn't been fully announced by either side at this point, but every major ESPN, NFL Network, local reporter has broken the news. Sean Payton making his way to the Denver Broncos and leaving the New Orleans Saints after Denver had kind of waffled back and forth. Oh, was a deal going to get done? Denver had looked in other directions, then eventually circled back in the end to the New Orleans Saints and to Sean Payton as it clears the way. The news broken by Adam Schefter as Payton expected to be the Broncos' next head coach. This was the news, 20 minutes ago, somewhere in that range as we sit here filming this. Finalizing the compensation for the Super Bowl winning head coach. Clears way for Payton to sign with the Broncos to become Denver's next head coach. No word yet as of filming in terms of the money for Sean Payton, but it's going to be a lot for the Broncos and their new head coach. But of course, we're focused on the Saints side. We'll break down the trade details here in a little bit. It's a lot for the Saints. Give me your one-word reaction to the Saints trading Sean Payton. Maybe expected, maybe good is your one word. Sound off for me in the comment section. One word only, your reaction to the Saints trading Sean Payton. We have the trade details here for you guys. The Saints are getting a first-round pick. That is number 29 overall, and a 2024, that's next year's draft, second-round pick. Denver gets Sean Payton, and they get the Saints' third-round pick. So the Saints move up from the third round into the second round next year and get the first round pick. Sean Payton had said he thought the trade value for himself in conversations with GM Mickey Loomis was going to be roughly a mid to late first round pick. Factoring in the trade up from the third round to the second round, that's pretty much what the Saints are getting back. I will make note that number 29 overall pick has been moved a bunch already. Originally was the San Francisco 49ers first-round pick. They flipped that to the Miami Dolphins as part of the Trey Lance trade a couple years ago. The Dolphins then took that first-rounder, sent it to Denver as part of the trade deadline deal for Bradley Chubb, and now Denver sends it to for the Saints in exchange for Sean Payton. It would be number 30 normally, but Miami lost their own first-round pick for tampering with Sean Payton and Tom Brady, or at least one of those two. It's kind of funny that all works out in the end, doesn't it? So grade the trade of Sean Payton, A, B, C, D, or F. You guys can get your votes in for us in the comment section. I think getting a first-round pick and change back for Sean Payton is pretty good. It's only a head coach in the end, right? And I know there was claims of Mickey Loomis wanting 2 firsts. That was never going to happen. A first and change, though, it's pretty good. Grade this for me. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give it an A- for the Saints, somewhere in that range. Ideally, you're keeping him, right? But there's been plenty of success for Sean Payton in his time as a head coach with New Orleans. 9-8 in 2021. I thought was one of his better coaching jobs because the Saints didn't have the same level of talent they had with Drew Brees, etc. The story of Sean Payton, and frankly, so many coaches and quarterbacks not named Tom Brady, Bill Belichick over the years in that era, was close but not good enough come playoff time. Divisional round loss, wild card round loss in the NFC Championship game, loss in the divisional round. 2016, 2014, things were kind of not that great. 7-9, wasn't as successful. We can blame the defense for a pretty good portion of that. But Sean Payton did a great job of maximizing Drew Brees, and Denver, of course, is now hoping that they are able to do the same thing with an apparently at least somewhat broken Russell Wilson, which we'll see how things go there. But now the Saints have a first-round pick. They actually have multiple picks now inside the top 50 of this year's draft, which is valuable for a team that needs it. I'm thinking tomorrow, first-round draft targets for the New Orleans Saints. We'll cover everything around the draft and free agency and so much more right here on New Orleans Saints Now. So this is exactly why you guys have to subscribe. Free videos pretty much every single day. Breaking news when it happens from us here at Chat Sports. Hit that sub button. It's all for free. YouTube.com/@SaintsToday. This is where things sit with the Saints draft picks. I will make note, beyond round 4-ish, there are some projected compensatory picks getting mixed in there, so the exact numbers could be a little bit off. Those won't be announced until later on in the NFL offseason. But they have number 29 overall now from Denver, number 40 overall, a second-round selection, a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, 2 fifth-round picks, and a 7th-round pick as well. So a little bit more of a more balanced draft class for New Orleans than the, hey, we have no first-round pick because we traded it for Trevor Penning / Chris Olave to get into the first round last year. Saints getting that back end of round 1 will benefit them. They need the influx of talent. They've always been super aggressive, which I respect. I wish more teams took that approach. The Eagles and Rams certainly have with good results. Now the Saints still searching for, I would argue, a more stable option at quarterback. I don't really know if you find one of those at pick number 29. You could package pick 29 and 40, jump up earlier to go find a new player at quarterback, or you could invest some into your defense. Maybe you're in the mix for a Bijan Robinson back end of round 1, or a receiver to pair with Chris Olave again. More offensive line talent. Maybe you replace some of those edges. Maybe Marcus Davenport doesn't return to you, and you draft a new first-round edge in the back end of that selection in the first round, which I think makes sense to the Saints. It gives you more flexibility to, in theory, add 2 starters on the first 2 days at pick 29 and at pick number 40. We'll break down those draft targets for you guys in the very near future here on New Orleans Saints Now. But this will be the number 1 NFL story of the day. The Sean Payton trade is done. Broncos get Sean Payton. Saints get a first-round pick, and the sides swap a second going to New Orleans and a third going to Denver. So you can bust out the old trade value chart. You go from pick 29 to maybe around pick 19, somewhere in that range. It ends up being the mid to late first-round value that Sean Payton said he was going to go for, although he also said 70% chance back to Fox. Maybe Denver's search not going the way they wanted it to go, with them bailing on options and telling people no, and then Dan Quinn telling them no, and D'Amico Ryan's going to Houston. They pivot in the end back to Sean Payton and land the big fish that ownership group very much wanted. So who won the trade? B for the Broncos, S for the New Orleans Saints. Get those votes in for us in the comments section. I'm going Saints myself because, hey, you got a first-round pick for a coach that wasn't involved with you anymore. I think that's a pretty good win in the end. Remember, folks, a ton of off-season coverage coming right here on New Orleans Saints Now, so make sure you guys are subscribed.